How you doing? Good evening. Tonight we have a great show. We have the Republicans to come in and explain why that they believe that African Americans should give them their vote. But before I go to my guest tonight, I just want to thank a few people. I want to thank the football team, the Little League, the Ravens. I want to thank everybody who was involved in the city cleanup, all the volunteers, all the different agencies. And as usual, I always want to thank my mother, Mabel Cephas, Mabel Foster, another Mabel. Also, I like Charlie Smith Jr., who's always bugging me, and I know he's going to have a text for me after I get off this show. But again, I just want to thank everybody, and I'm hoping to bring Norman Oliver on here to let him know how much we love him, how much we appreciate him, and all the things that he did for us and what he brought to us and what he means to us. So I've been talking to Norman, and again, you know, Norman, I mean, I can't say nothing but the great things about him, and hoping in the future that we'll have him come and sit down and everybody can call in and just tell him how much he means to us. Also, next week, we're going to have Chip Flowers to come and talk about the state's budget, and everybody needs to tune in. Come and talk about the state's budget, the pension, everything else is going on. But tonight, I'd like to introduce a former state senator, Charlie Copeland. How you doing?
Good. Jules, how are you?
And Calvin Brown.
Hey, how's it going on?
All right. But before we start with Calvin, everybody knows Calvin Brown. So what I did, I brought some duct tape. So when Calvin gets to go into his thing,
this is the problem.
I'm gonna raise it. But you like to me and Calvin grew up, so it's fun. So Calvin, when I do this,
they know I'm from Riverside too. How you been though?
All right.
Been all right?
Good. Yes, I've been good, Calvin.
All right, good.
But one of the first questions I want to ask the senator, okay, they took a poll, 69% of Americans believe that the Republican Party favors the rich. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think that, I mean, that may be what the poll says, but it's inaccurate. What the Republican Party favors is economic opportunity for everybody, and that means job creators need to be left alone. They need to be able to build their companies and grow employment and bring jobs into communities. If you look at the United States Senate and add up the millionaires, you're going to find there are more Democrat millionaires in the United States Senate than there are Republican millionaires. And if you want to look at the folks who are giving money to the Democratic Party, George Soros, who made billions of dollars in basically driving third world nations into bankruptcy with interest rate swaps in the 1990s. You got a guy named Steyer, who's a huge environmentalist, who's giving $100 million to the Democrats nationwide, but in doing so, they've shut down the Keystone Pipeline. That's not, those aren't Republicans doing that kind of stuff. If you look at here in the state of Delaware, Jack Markell got money from venture capitalists, billionaire venture capitalists in California, and he cut the deal for Bloom Energy. And over the next 20 years, $750 million is going to leave Delaware in above market power costs to go to the pocket of billionaires. I mean, so I think that may be what is the perception, but in the reality.
But the reality is that you named a few, but what about the majority of corporations? Let me give you one example. Okay, $20 trillion is sitting, $20 trillion is gain, is sitting over there in banks offshore that can't be taxed. $20 trillion. Most of these are corporations that made here, but
those are big businesses, right? Those are corporations. So DuPont, I suspect, has tens of millions, if not billions of dollars parked overseas. Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg's big Democrat, and yet the number 2 guy in Facebook renounced his American citizenship and moved to Singapore, and they've got billions of dollars offshore.
I think where you're going wrong is you equating large corporation with Republicans. When it's all kind of people running them large corporations, and this the misconception that a lot of African Americans have is that they say if you say a large corporation, they say, oh, it's a Republican guy. But these be Democrats that don't want their earnings to be roughed up.
Matter of fact, the big money center banks tend to be run by Democrats, extremely wealthy Democrats.
Let's get it all straight now before you just say we ain't getting no. We got Crossfire here now. We ain't gonna just let you get away with anything. You know what I mean? We ain't gonna just let you say stuff.
Cal, let me ask you another question.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, good Republicans, moderate Republicans the older Republicans, like, okay, Nixon. Nixon started the Sickle Cell Treatment Act. He started the EPA, OSHA, the Clean Air Act. I can name them all. Mike Castle supported the port, organization of labor. Bill Roth started the IRA where you can save into your retirement. Bill Oakley supported the port and organized labor. What happened to those type of Republicans?
Oh, well, I think those type of Republicans are still around. I think that, like every political party, there are differences within the political party. I mean, on the Democrat side, you've got a lot of progressives and environmentalists who, again, have shut down things like the Keystone Pipeline. And that's a battle, right, that goes on inside the Democratic Party. So there's a battle that goes on inside the Republican Party. And that battle goes back and forth. And I think what you're going to see over the next couple of years, you're going to see people like Governor Chris Christie over in New Jersey, who's, I think, a very moderate Republican, but stands on economic fundamentals, and people like that being very, very successful.
Okay, you received a lot of criticism when you tried to recruit African Americans to the Republican Party. Why?
Well, I think it's because in the state of Delaware in particular, but nationwide, but in the state of Delaware in particular, if the African American vote voted even 30% Republican, half the Democrats who have been elected statewide would not be there. The black vote calls the statewide election in Delaware, period, pure and simple.
But you still didn't answer my question. You received a lot of criticism for trying to recruit. Your party was against.
Oh, no, not my party. My party's not had any criticism of me looking at that. I mean, you know, are there one or two people that might complain? Yeah, but so what?
But you said that. See, this is my only problem. You say stuff like you receive criticism. From who?
Yeah, because I don't.
Who is it?
Calvin, it's the polls, it's the block, it's everywhere out there.
I
got to ask.
I know, but I understand. But I mean, but here's what I'm saying, Julius. It's unfounded and it's without merit.
I disagree.
If you got
now, I disagree that's unfounded because again, a lot of us feel like the way, and we see it.
Well, I don't know where the polls are that say that Charlie Copeland's gotten criticism for recruiting African Americans. Because first of all, nobody's polled that question.
No,
and if it's a blog, well, that's somebody's opinion.
I got you. But when you was trying to recruit, it was out there that you was having pushback.
Oh, I don't. There was nobody who called me on the phone or said anything to me saying, hey, these guys are upset or these guys. Okay. I never got any of that. Okay. And the truth of the matter is I went down and I was elected on July 20th of last year as the chairman of the Republican Party in the state of Delaware. And when I spoke at all the groups across the state before that election, I said, number one of my top 3 items was minority outreach. And no other candidate stepped forward, and I won my position by acclamation, standing ovation. Party unity is at is a record high. We've got, we've fixed our books, we've paid off our debts, we got money coming in from conservatives to moderates. So no, I think it's a complete falsehood.
Well, I'm glad that you were asking these questions. Okay, now, will you run for office? Would you run for lieutenant governor? Would you run for governor, senator, or Congress?
Oh, am I going to run for office? I have no plans to run for office. Now, the world changes sometimes, so I can't say, that never is never, but I have no plans to run for office at this particular juncture.
Yeah,
and part of that, let me just state, I took on the role of fixing the Delaware Republican Party for a lot of reasons. And number one is I believe in a two-party system. When a single party runs a state, they run it into the ground, and that is exactly where Delaware is at the moment. And I can point to states run by Republicans that have similar problems on the other side. So, I recognize that some of my guys are just as bad as some of their guys. I mean, that's humans. We all have our problems, right? I believe in a two-party system because that keeps corruption and insider dealings and stuff like that at a minimum. And so I took that job on, but you recognize when you do that, to do it right, you're going to piss some people off. You're going to piss off people on your own side because you're going to say to people, no, I don't think that we should support you, or no, we're not going to do that. And people get mad at you. And so then it makes running for office somewhere down the road more difficult. So if you're going to make a decision to be the chairman of the party and fix what's wrong, then you got to be willing to take the hits, and I'm willing to take the hits.
Well, I applaud you because, again, you're on 28, you come out, you speak your mind, you talk to the community, and you don't hide.
Yeah.
And we all appreciate that. Now, do you support Senator Marshall's bill that the governor signed for minimum wage to be $8.25 an hour in Delaware?
No.
Okay, why
Now,
not?
I served for 6 years, and when I was in office, there were 3 different minimum wage bills that came before the state Senate. And I voted against 2 of them, I voted for 1 of them. So I am not, always against an increase in minimum wage. But when I look at the state of Delaware right now, and I look at job growth and I look at job opportunity, job growth is, our hourly earnings, our average hourly earnings in the state of Delaware are some of the worst in the nation. The number of hours worked per week is one of the worst in the nation. The average Delawarean last year made $500 less per month than the average worker across the country. That is not an area in which the economy is growing, and so you can tax businesses more by forcing them to pay a higher wage. I have a business. We have about 65 employees. None of my employees make minimum wage. They all make above minimum wage, and even if you raise minimum wage, you still haven't hit where my lowest. But I'm answering the question.
Okay.
Because the only folks really who pay minimum wage are going to be the corner store. They're going to be the small store. Are there some fast food places and stuff? Sure, there are. Okay. But the majority of people who are going to get hit are a small business owner who's already working 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week, maybe pulling home $50,000. You're just going to take that money out of their pocket, and they're going to go belly up, and then you're going to have more of a problem that we already have in Delaware.
But it shows here, in the studies say that if minimum wages were tied into production, minimum wage would be at $19 an hour.
Well, first of all, I don't even know what that means. I can find studies. I can find studies on both sides.
Okay.
Right.
No,
I can find studies on both sides. You can find studies that say increasing minimum wage has no effect. You can find studies that say increasing minimum wage has an effect.
But what do you mean?
But I could argue then if minimum wage increasing has no effect, then why not raise it to $20 an hour?
Hey, some people probably wouldn't have a problem. But what I'm saying is that in 1980 you have.
What would be the impact of that?
We don't know. We
do know.
No, we don't know.
We know a lot of companies would close up.
But you also have, when you have trillions and trillions of dollars that are offshore.
That's not, but you keep talking about other people's money. See, this is what I don't like about, let me hold it, George.
Go ahead, Cal.
You keep talking about other people's money offshore. Is it their money?
It hasn't been taxed, Cal.
No, okay, but
they have these
ways
that
when it comes back into America,
it doesn't come back into America.
Why do you think it won't come back?
Because they don't want it to come back.
Why? Why do you think?
Because the laws are there to be protecting them.
No. Here's the reason.
Because it becomes taxed again. It's taxed in the country where it's earned, right? So if somebody makes money in France, if the DuPont company sells a product in France, they get taxed in France, and that money sits in a bank account in France. When they bring that money back to the United States, it gets taxed again at the U.S. corporate rate. So what companies in the United States do is they leave it overseas. If you're a French company and you sell a product in the United States, it gets taxed in the United States. When they bring that money back to France, it does not get taxed. The United States is the only country in the world that taxes the corporate repatriation of money. So what these companies do, because if you're Citibank, which by the way, the CEO is a Democrat, if you're Citibank and you've got $1 billion in France, you know you're going to make an investment in Spain and Portugal, so you leave the money over there because you don't have to bring it back here because you can leave it over there and invest in those other places. So that's a choice.
You can probably answer this one. Okay, in 1980, the CEO's salary was 30 times more than the average worker. 30 times in 1980. Today, the CEO's salary is 330 times compared to the average worker. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think it's horrible. I think it's a serious problem. I really do. And I'm not exactly sure what you do about it, but I think it is a very serious problem. And I don't think they earn that kind of money. I really don't. And there ought to be some way to change that incentive, because I do think that that's a problem. They don't earn, they're not that much better. I mean, there are the guys making $400 million a year, right? You can only eat so well. You can only visit so many houses a year. I think that's a real problem, and it ought to be some way dialed back. I don't know what that is, but I do believe it's a problem.
Okay. Calvin, let me ask you a question. Okay, you live in a heavy Democratic district, okay, and you ran in laws. Why not change parties? Why not register Democrat or independent and switch to get elected And you won't be the first one who's ever done that.
Oh, yeah, see, here's what you want me to do. You want
No,
me to,
I'm asking the
but
question.
Let me just answer.
Okay,
You want me to answer what you want?
No.
You asked me a question.
Go ahead, Cal.
Can I answer
Yes,
my
sir.
way?
Yes, sir,
Or are you going to
Cal.
get your tape out again?
Here, I'll hold on to that. I'll hold on to that.
All right, here's what people want. They want me to abandon my principles to get elected. And to me, that is the worst thing that a person can do, is to abandon what they believe. The Democratic Party, I was a Democrat for a good part of my life. I left the party for religious and moral reasons. One, I'm pro-life. I'm against abortion. Traditional family values mean a lot to me. I'm a Christian. I'm a preacher. I preach out the scripture. God said some things. I believe it. I don't just preach it on Sunday and then vote something else Monday. What I do in church, that's what I live. So it forced me, when the people in my district was against what I believed in, I could no longer support them or the party that they supported. So in good conscience, I could no longer be a Democrat and support the top of the ticket all the way down. So I ran on principle. Now, if people say, well, I like Calvin Brown, but I don't like the Republican, well, then vote for me based on what I say. And this is what I say. If I got to abandon everything I am to get elected, then I'm a loser by abandoning my principles. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what I know is right. And if that means I don't get elected, but at least I don't have to go in the office under a lie, under a whole fabrication of something that's not true. And I hate it when guys come to me privately, just like the guy in Los Angeles. They come to me privately and say, man, I'm with you privately. But then they go publicly and say something different. And that's the worst hypocrite that you can have. And I'm not that. Okay. I'm going to tell you the truth that as I know it. If you ask me what I believe, I'm going to stand up for it. If it means that I don't get no resources from the city, if the city councilman don't help me, if the state rep don't help me in my neighborhood, I'm a taxpayer. And I refuse to bow down and kiss somebody's foot just so I can get elected. I won't do it, Joyce.
Okay. There's a couple more.
And I am going to run again sooner or later.
Okay.
And I'm going to win.
Okay.
Because I think people realize now that the people that they thought was with them, they haven't done anything. I mean, I got issues with.
Wait a minute, Kel, let me get to a couple more questions.
Okay,
then I'm
get
gonna
to
let
the
y'all.
question.
Okay, I
Okay.
appreciate it.
All right.
The Tea Party. How do you feel about the Tea Party? But before both of y'all answer that, let me say this: the Tea Party, I have respect for. I don't agree with their message, but I agree with their method, because what I like about them, they hold people accountable.
That's right.
If you don't do what they want you to do, as far as what their agenda is, they shake things up and get rid of you. I think the Democrats should have that same thing. Like I said, I don't agree with their message, but I agree with their method. And go ahead.
Well, the first thing I'd say about the Tea Party is, what is the Tea Party, right? There's no organization, there's no single, I'm the Tea Party and everybody in the Tea Party follows under my rule. It really was a broad base anger that came out over, and the Democrats did a great job of saying it was about the president and about his race. And I don't think it was. Honestly, I think it was much more about Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi and what they were doing in the Congress in driving through legislation without any Republican votes, and what they viewed as Republicans who were just sort of kowtowing to that rather than standing up and saying, hey, let's stop and doing things. And so, you know, from the standpoint of when one party drives through their agenda without any support from across the aisle, and I mean no vote at all, not a single supporter, I got a problem with that. And the reason I have a problem with that is Social Security passed with majorities on both sides. Medicare passed with majorities on both sides. The Civil Rights Act passed with majorities on the Republican side. I'm not sure the Democrats had majority numbers or not. And Medicaid passed with majorities on both sides. And so 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years after those bills passed, everybody still had their hands together because everybody had a hand on the bag with things like the Affordable Health Care Act, which the president, you know, says it's okay to call it Obamacare. That went through with no Republican votes. And so the Republicans don't have any ownership of it. And so they can continue to take shots at it. Same thing with the banking bill. There was a banking bill that was supposed to shut down all these big money center banks that are run by Democrats. But it didn't, and no Republican's going to support it because no Republicans voted for it.
Let me say this. Do you believe that since Obama has been in office, more bills have been tied up, can't get out? This has never happened in the history before. Nobody has never disrespected a president the way the Republicans have this time. I've never seen it.
I mean, I don't know the numbers, right? So I can't address that from the standpoint that, you know, the Republican Congress, the House of Representatives, has sent a whole bunch of bills to the Senate that never got acted on. Matter of fact, the Senate went for 5 years without actually passing a budget, just their own budget, let alone trying to get together with the House. And in 2009, 2010, both chambers were controlled by the Democrats. They could have passed everything. But instead, they took a lot of time focused on the banks and the health care bill and bottled up everything else. So, you know, do I support the Tea Party? There are lots of good people in the Tea Party who love their country and, frankly, respect the president. There are some jerks in the Tea Party. But I do believe that the federal government is out of touch and out of control. I don't view that as solely the president's fault, because I think, honestly, during the Bush administration, the Congress and the president were out of touch and out of control. You know, I think the war in Afghanistan, we were attacked. We should have gone to war in Afghanistan. The war in Iraq, what we did was we said, we got 1 million volunteers. We're going to send them over to die for us. The rest of you go shopping. And that's wrong. You know, in World War II, the reason we finished that war so quick is because the entire country went to war. They stopped making automobiles. They started making tanks. Right. We didn't go shopping. We bought savings bonds and war bonds. We didn't do that, and that was wrong.
What do you think? What do you think about a person? Okay, Ray Evans was one of the first African American Republicans elected down in Dover. I'm not sure if he was the first, but I know he was one of the first. Do you think a Ray Evans can get elected today?
I mean, I think it depends on the district, but I don't see necessarily why not. I mean, we got a guy, Don Blakey, who's down in Kent County. He's an African-American Republican. He's a very centrist, moderate guy. I think he does great constituent service. And he's a good guy. And he's served now for probably close to a decade. You know, you don't have to be a card-carrying member of the Tea Party to be a successful Republican today. You know, did we go through a phase? Oh, yeah, we did. And it hurt us, especially in Delaware. Might have helped us in some other states, but it really hurt us in Delaware and the Northeast, and that's been a problem.
I think so, but I think I'm going to see how much our people can take. When I say our people, I'm talking about African Americans. And then when they realize, when they wake up and say, listen, voting D ain't the answer. Because if that was the answer, you got a Democratic governor, you got 2 Democratic senators, you got Democratic congressmen, you got everybody and it's almost Democrat on the big ticket except the auditor. You got Democratic mayor, Democratic county councilman, Democratic county council president. It's as blue as it get, and yet the people still got the blues. See, if all that worked for y'all pushing vote the ticket, why is the African American poverty level rising and not shrinking? Dropout school education is deplorable. Living conditions are falling apart. So everybody is pushing this Democrat thing like y'all going to deliver us. And look what has happened. I live in the city. Y'all can't tell me. Now you might say, well, you somebody live in Greenville that don't know no better. I grew up in Riverside. I done lived on 9th and Monroe, 22nd in Lamont, 5th and Green Hill. I've been on 3rd and Clayton for 20-something years. Nobody in my neighborhood don't know Bobby Marshall. They ain't never seen him.
Well, let me say, hold on. Let me say this to everybody, and I hear what you're saying. At the Port of Wilmington, so people can hear Senate Bill 3. If Senate Bill 3 didn't happen, we met with Kinder Morgan. We would have lost our jobs. But just to show everybody something, Senate Bill 3, the port is $365 million in revenue inside the port. Inside, taxes are almost $12 million. From the port, Senate Bill 3, it's almost, the port spends off almost 17,000 workers indirectly and directly. Now that's inside the port. Outside the gate is another $365-something million in revenue, another almost $10 to $12 million. If the city of Wilmington would have lost that tax-based revenue, So Senator Marshall deserves a whole lot of credit. He beat the Wall Street boys, which $100 billion company. Even if you don't work at the port, if the city of Wilmington would have lost that $12 million from the port inside the gate and another $12 million outside the gate, that means services, your sanitation, your police department, they would have to lay off.
But let me cycle back on that, because I get what you're saying, that Senator Marshall pushed through Senate Bill 3, but who cut the deal with Kinder Morgan beforehand? Or Democrats. Governor Jack Markell was sitting down at the desk with his buddies.
Who was his buddy? Alan Levin, who was what?
But who brought him in? And who approved him? Alan Levin required a majority vote in the Senate.
And you know what? You won't hear nothing about me, because I've said this, that the Democratic, I went down in Dover and said I couldn't believe that a Democratic governor was trying to get rid of the Port of Wilmington. I could not believe it. And let me just say this, the Port of Wilmington helps
Because if you're a friend of Jack, you are a friend of Jack.
And you won't hear a complaint about me or anybody down the port. But from Senator Marshall's point of view, if he didn't push Senate Bill 3 in, and we got it pushed in the last day because they was going to go on a 6 weeks vacation, that means the board would have voted on it and we would have been gone. The guy came in from Kinder Morgan, told us these jobs are going, we're going to bring our people in. We don't need it. Not only would it hurt the jobs, but it would have killed the environment.
And it was the Democrat governor's administration who cut that deal.
Yeah, but we talk about right now Senator Marshall. So,
well, but let me finish about Senator Marshall. I mean, I understand you.
No, wait a minute, not just.
But you're just talking about the port.
No,
I'm not talking about the port.
Wait a minute, Calvin. Wait a minute, hold. $12 million in revenue that the port brings to the city of Wilmington. Now, if the city of Wilmington,
10% of their budget.
If the city loses that $12 million, Calvin, it changes the whole lot of things. Wait a minute, and plus they got another $10 million outside the gate, Calvin. Yes. So you're looking at $22 million tax revenue would have been gone.
How long has Senator Marshall been the senator?
76.
Since 76. Now you want to talk about one bill that he championed. Now wait, hold it. No, wait,
go ahead, let
me, because you just said a whole lot of things about it for one, and this is 2014. For since 76, I want you to justify. Listen, nobody in my neighborhood don't know who he is but me. If he walked down the street, they would think he's down there to buy crack or something. Because that's the no. I mean, I'm making a joke out of it, but that's the only white guys. That's the only white guys. Wait a minute, Julius, you can't cut me off.
I'm not cutting you off, but Calvin.
You just said a whole speech about the man.
No, I just told some facts about the man.
One bill.
It was a huge bill, Calvin.
Yeah, but I'm saying, look at all the other opportunities that he's blown as senator. And I'm not going to, everybody don't work at the port. But now I'm not saying the revenue ain't important, but it's us unemployed.
Okay.
That the senator in education.
But the other thing that I will say again is if the senator was working with his governor, that never would have gotten to that point. Well, I mean, you got a last minute, you were able to catch that ball just before it hit the dirt. And that was a great catch. Absolutely. But who put you in that position? He was asleep at the switch while the governor was cutting deals.
I don't think he was asleep at the switch, but we're going to have a call in. You can call in at 661-4468. 661-4468.
And I don't want to make this a referendum on Bobby Marshall. What I was saying is that people don't know in my neighborhood, these people, because as constituent services, they don't show up in the neighborhood. This is what I was talking about. I wasn't talking about the port bill. I'm saying that nobody knows who he is. They don't come around, and that goes for the state representative, Helene Keeley. Bob Williams, he just got in, so I'm going to give him a pass right now. But these
Hello, wait a minute, hold on. Hello? Hello, you on the air? Hello, you on the air? All right, call back. Hello, you on the air?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, you on the air.
Yeah, I had a question for Calvin. He's a mentor of mine, and I really appreciate all his stances that he takes politically. This is his boy, Rashad.
Okay.
But how do you expect, a Democrat, especially African-American Democrat, to go into a ballot box and make the same vote as a guy like a Clive and Bundy or people of those sorts? Though I might agree with you on a lot of things, I feel like because of some of the racism on that side, makes it hard for me to be able to vote that direction. And I'll hang up and listen to your answer.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
I'm glad you brought up about it's some racist Democrats right here in Delaware. You can go down state, and listen, you go down in Dover, they're not supporting all the African Americans down in Dover. See, a lot of us don't know. You go down in Dover and see if you can get something passed, and you know, because you know better than some of these people that you know in Dover. They don't care nothing about y'all down there. So let's call it like we know it.
Let me just, because I'm a numbers guy, right?
Okay, go ahead.
Alabama, red state. 28% of the population in Alabama is African American. 28%. 27% of the legislature is African American. 27%. So basically, the legislature reflects the state. In Delaware, 22% of the population is African American, yet only 8% of the legislature is African American. And this is a blue state. So why is the blue state not better than the red state when it comes to race?
Maybe because we need to get our act together. Maybe that's not y'all's fault. Maybe that's our fault.
That's right.
Maybe it's racist Democrats.
Go ahead. You on the air.
Hi, Calvin, Senator Julius, this is Pastor D. I hope that I'll be able to express this point of view. Great discussion, by the way. A lot of fire, Cal. Listen, I just believe that the issues we face in Delaware are so much more significant than race. And when it comes to party, I really believe that we've come to a time in our state, and particularly in the city of Wilmington, where we're going to see a shift. I kind of agree with Calvin because we are so disenfranchised and disconnected. And I think it has more to do with clickism. Cal, perhaps you got a better word for it. But this trenchant idea in Wilmington in particular that if one is not liked or accepted or a part of particular groups, then they are blackballed. They are, in fact, regardless of party. And so we've just come to a place, and there are so many other issues. The issues you're raising are big, important, the port, et cetera. However, the number one issue right now in the state of Delaware is and should be the catastrophic damage done by the medical examiner's office with a significant number of constitutional violations of rights.
You right on the money with that.
Hey, Pastor, let them answer that, and we take some more calls. I appreciate your call.
Yeah, that medical examiner's debacle, and that's all run by the Democrats. That's not the Republicans. And I don't hear none of the Democrats saying anything about that.
I think everybody is up in arms.
Everybody don't know about that.
It's been in every paper, Calvin.
But you don't hear the Democratic leadership saying anything. If that was a Republican medical examiner, he's down there selling drugs.
Calvin, no, wait a minute. I think that you have to, everybody has to have due process. And as African Americans, we should definitely respect due process. Until the investigation is over, we should wait and hold judgment. Because wait a minute. We get accused and found guilty before we even go to court. So Calvin,
with bad evidence.
Yeah, but Calvin, anybody, you should definitely respect due process.
Well,
why should I respect?
But hold on, let me
go ahead.
Prior to Beau Biden being Attorney General, it was Jane Brady was Attorney General, white woman Republican. And she got, I mean, the News Journal got a bee in their bonnet, decided to go after her, and every other day there was a story about, something terrible she'd done. But she was in the news all the time, and she held press conferences and got out there and talked about what was going on and why she made the decisions she did and why she was driving her office the way she was. And yet, in this Attorney General's office, they had a big article on the medical examiners today where it's going to be thousands of cases now of folks, some of them perhaps due process, and maybe they weren't guilty, but some of them, the guy with the AK-47, but no press conference, no discussion about what's going on. I mean, it's all been, underlings and minions. Where's the guy in charge? Where's the governor on this? This is the governor's department.
I got you, and you know what? Again, I agree, but we still should, like I said again,
but he should come out and have a press conference and answer the questions.
Hello.
This is so ironic that we talk due process.
Calvin, you know why? Hold up for 1 second. Hold up, wait a minute, Calvin.
We ain't giving no due process.
Wait a minute, hold up for a second. Well, only thing again, African Americans, we definitely should have due process. Go ahead, you on the air.
Yeah, I agree with Calvin, man. I mean, we got to wake up, man. I mean, like, Democrats, we've been starting for the last 4 years, and the port is just one part of Wilmington, man. I mean, you got to come out that port and see the people that's struggling, man. Just go in your own neighborhood.
That's right, brother.
No, hey, listen
Go in your own neighborhood, man. It's Democrat stuff, man. Got to go, man.
I agree. Okay, I won't agree on that.
We
But
rolling,
okay,
baby.
we go
be
next
on no
question. Thank you.
We rolling.
Well, let me.
I'm out of here, baby.
No, because you know what?
I get it. I get
Again,
it.
my purpose with this show was, again, accountability, whether they Democrat or Republican.
And I think you've been fair. I mean,
and again,
Sometimes
we
you've been
don't
fair.
hold enough people accountable. And then we have a lot of good people who are doing great things that you hear nothing about.
I know.
I grew up in Riverside. My mom had 7 kids. My mom always told me, and she worked for Catholic Social Service, and people would call 12. I used to hang up on them. She said, let me tell you something. I had 7 kids. I said, Mom, why you help everybody? I had 7 kids, and we didn't have your father wasn't around, and people helped me, and you better always do that.
Right. And we did that.
And we all did that.
And we did that in
So
in Riverside.
let me take the call. Hello? You on the air?
Hello, how y'all doing?
Doing
Okay.
good.
Thank you.
This is Deacon Thomas Williams from Labor Local 199.
Yes, sir.
I want to talk about down to the port. They got operators.
You got to turn your TV down a little bit. We're getting an echo.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now they got union operators, and they got union iron workers, union electricians, and won't hire now labor from Labor Local 199, and we train labor and everything. And that governor down in Dover, he is prejudiced, just like in Mississippi. He won't get Labor Local 199 no work. They're prejudiced. Have a blessed night.
All right, thank you. Thank you for calling in.
Okay.
All right. Hold on. Let me ask one question real quick that I didn't get to. Okay. Far as creating jobs, okay, far as we have President Roosevelt, a lot of Republicans don't support unions or collective bargaining. And President Roosevelt, he built houses, he built bridges, hospitals, the post office, everything. And where y'all stances on that?
Well, I mean, I don't think that unions are good, bad, or indifferent, right? I mean, there are good unions and there are bad unions. It comes down to, how's the leadership, how the management, how do they work with their workers? I think a good paying job is a good paying job, and I don't care, honestly, whether it's union or not union. And I know there are companies that have done well with union workers, companies that have done not so well with union workers, and I know companies without union workers who've gone out of business. And so I mean, I think that that there's a lot. It is a demagoguing issue, right? One side gets to say, "Oh, we're union," the other guy, and they just beat each other.
What
over the
about
head.
renewable energy? Solar panels, like right now we have them in Delaware City, we have them in Delaware Tech. It's good for the environment, it creates jobs. I don't hear the Republican Party talking about that a lot.
Well, I first of all, I can tell you that solar panels are not necessarily good for the environment, not necessarily good for jobs. The process of making a solar panel is not necessarily a clean process. It takes a lot of water, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of, and I've got solar panels on my roof. I had solar panels on my roof before Governor Markell had solar panels on his roof. And so I think they are a.
He got no pain on.
Yeah, because he's like, I don't care about that.
No, because again.
So it is a piece. It is a piece of the puzzle.
Oh yeah,
and I think as the technology evolves, and it is evolving.
It's not affordable right now for everybody.
Well, that's right.
Tell how much it costs to put solar panels on the roof on 3rd Street.
Wait, hello, you on the air?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Calvin how he feels about Joe Biden letting that DuPont air get off. And I think they're making some great points up there as far as, a lot of people might go Republican in the state in the upcoming election.
That's right. Hey, Mr. B doing pretty good tonight. Hey, wait, hold on, Jude. Why you want to go to another call? We want to answer that. See, the problem is, a lot of times people don't know where the Republican Party stands. And they think for all the Republicans.
And that's the Republican Party's fault.
That's our fault. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I'm on 3rd Street. I ain't rich. Everybody Republican ain't rich.
All right, go ahead, Calvin.
Let me just say this. Let me say this to you. I'm going to just say this. That I think that a lot of times people don't know that the Republicans, we just for a common sense approach to life's
Hold on, let me say this 1 minute. 661-4468. 661-4468.
That's the number to
call
get.
on in.
If he needs to get some Democrats to call in.
Nah.
Right now he's taking the beat, so he has to put that number out there. No, but we want to just say this. I want to say that Julius, I think that a lot of people don't. If they would listen to the party message. And we got both. Let's go back to the union question. I work with laborers, Local 55, John Blythe. I'm a big supporter of that.
Right.
I go down to the union meetings. I was used to work with the Teamsters and all that. So I understand about organized labor. But look what happened to organized labor at the auto workers with the president, the vice president.
But that wasn't the union's fault.
No. I said the vice president let the union Chrysler and GM close on his watch.
Hello, you on the air?
We ain't gonna say nothing about that.
How you doing, Julius? This Sam Guy calling.
How you doing, Sam?
All right. Look, what I want to first say is why they keeping score. I'm a Democrat calling in.
Okay.
Here's the comment that I want to make.
Okay.
And that is that nationally, the Republican Party, the way they've treated the first African-American president ever, with total disrespect and disregard, makes it difficult for anybody that's African-American to take a local Delaware Democratic Party seriously for that reason alone. But let me also make this comment. The Delaware Democratic Party, I went to the convention, and they put in all 6 white people as the leadership. No African Americans on the executive committee, 6 officers, none. Total shutout. They had a slate. That's it. Them, and that's it. So what I do want to say to you is that the Republican Party over the last 10, 15, 20 years has had an open door opportunity to make inroads in the black community, and the Republican Party hasn't made any inroads, more so because of your national position. So your local position can't even get through. But I'm a Democrat, and I'm staying a Democrat, and it's primarily because of the national Democrats, because local Democrats have been discriminatory toward me and everybody that I know.
Well, good.
All right, thank you, Sam.
Let me again let's go to the numbers, shall we?
Yes.
Let's look at Governor Markell's cabinet, right? Governor Markell's cabinet. How many African Americans are on his cabinet? You got Jim Sills Jr.,
Yep.
head of IT, and I think that's it.
That's it.
Let's look at Beau Biden, the Attorney General's office. Who's the leading African-American attorney in Beau Biden's office?
Hello, you on the air?
I don't know. Is there one?
Yeah,
I don't
John
know.
Qualker. How you doing, Julius?
How you doing, John?
I just want to respond to the challenge about a Democrat not calling in. I'm calling in, and I think that the conversation about trying to say that it's a party thing that provokes a disregard for minority or poor people, it's not a party thing. It's an individual thing, and I don't want to be bandied, my name bandied about as a Democrat, and that means that I'm to blame for not doing anything about problems I try to resolve. I've always tried to resolve them, and I think that it's unfair, and certainly on that Port of Wilmington situation, that the governor didn't come and consult Bobby Marshall or myself about that deal. That was a done deal that was laid on the table. It was a good thing that Bobby Marshall got involved in that. Right. And I just don't want some inordinate amount of respect, but I also don't want to be denigrated for what I try to do and what some of my fellow Democrats try to do. I think that we try to earn our way into the hearts of the minority community, not by bribing our way or by embracing them in a false way, but honestly considering their situation. And I think that we don't have enough of that in either party. And so I just want to defend, the average Democrat is not just the average Democrat. It may be a lot of them aren't, but that's not the way I choose to do my politics.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that because
Wait, Mikhail. Again, I know the type of work you do, John, and again, you're a great legislator, and it's an honor for the type of work you do, and you get out there and fight, even when against your party sometime. And again, you definitely are a champion of the legislators down there. We appreciate what you do and continue to keep doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you, Julius. I appreciate the compliment. It's part of my job, though. You know what I mean? So it's not something I went out of my way to do to impress anybody. I think all of us should have that in mind. That part of our job, the biggest part of our job, is to represent the needs of people. The needs of people is paramount if you want to be a political leader or public servant. Otherwise, you should get out of the racket. All right, thanks, George.
All right, thank you. All right.
And I respect his position on that. I just want you to know that here's how I gauge everything. The city of Wilmington is controlled by all Democrats. When I look out my window and see all the people unemployed.
Hello, you on the air?
It's the most
Wait a
violent
minute,
city
hold
of
on.
its size in the nation.
Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on. You on the air?
I'm on the air. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm calling because, Calvin, God bless you for being a man of principle. What a rare quality in these days and times.
Thank you.
Please be encouraged
All
to
right.
continue.
Thank
God
you.
bless you.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Thank you.
Praise the Lord.
Cal.
Praise the Lord.
All right. 661
You're not getting enough Democrats.
4468. Again.
Well, and again, I'm just going to the numbers. I mean, we talk about, and you raised the thing about Republicans being racist, and it was a legitimate question. I don't view it as any, and so I just want to look at the numbers. And if you look at Jack Markell's administration, the only leading African American in it is the only cabinet secretary is Jim Sills Jr. You look at Beau Biden's administration in the Attorney General's office, there isn't one. You look at Tom Carper, you look at John.
Hello,
Carter,
you on
look
the
at
air?
Chris Coons. They don't have African American leadership.
Yeah.
Hello, you on the air?
Matt
Hello.
Go ahead, you on the air?
Hello, my name is Jerome Saunders, and I'm interested.
Hey, Jerome.
How you doing? How you been?
All right.
I'm interested in knowing exactly what is the Tea Party, and what are conservatives, and which part is Calvin playing in the conservatives? Because I heard him say one time he was a conservative. I don't quite understand that. So if it's a Republican Party and if it's a conservative party, what part is Calvin playing?
Well, let me say, when they say,
All right, let him answer the question.
when I say I'm a conservative, this is the label that people put on me because I believe in traditional family values. I believe in man and woman as a family and children. I believe in I'm pro-life. I'm not really for abortion unless the life of the mother is in danger or something like that. I'm not for abortion as a means of a contraceptive. So people have branded me a conservative because I take biblical principles about my living. So for a lot of people, that's a problem. But that's just how I grew up. That's how my family raised me. I went to the Church of God in Christ with Dr. Rainey, late Dr. Ross B. Rainey. That's how I grew up. That's how it was in my house. I had 14 brothers and sisters. My daddy was in charge in the household. Now I know things have changed a little different, but my father went to work, and that's how it went. And I was all right with that. Okay. But what I'm going to say one thing just before we go. Wait a minute. Okay. And I need to say this. The Martin Rep Project is having the voter registration training tomorrow at the Department of Elections right off 13. And they're primarily targeting the barbers and beauty salons. They can call me at 563-0861. It's going to be a great training from 11 to 1 to get people registered to vote to come out and vote for. I wanted to say that because Pastor Lawrence Wright is running that project. That's the Moyer Rep Project. Okay. It's tomorrow, 11 to 1 at the Department of Elections. Yeah, I know you want to close up. We get ready to go.
Okay, we have 2 minutes.
Get the number out again. Get the number out again.
661-4468. We got one more call we can take.
And we can tell everybody, come on down to WHA tomorrow. We got the annual yearly vote for the chairman, treasurer, all that. That's tomorrow at 6 o'clock at WHA. You want to be down there? I'm up for treasurer, y'all. You can trust me with your
Cal. Okay, go ahead. I'll let you to close up. Senator Copeland, you have a last comment that we give to Calvin.
Well, Julius, I appreciate the questions. I appreciate the dialogue. I think it was important. I think it was well balanced. And we got some fun picking on you as a Democrat, and you got some fun picking on us as Republicans. That's all right. That's the way it ought to be. A civil debate as to what issues and all. And that's what's been missing here in the city of Wilmington. Because it's been one-party rule for decades. Newcastle County has been one-party rule for 25, 30 years. I mean, the city of Wilmington is now the most violent city of its size in the country.
We might have one more call. Hello?
Hi. I had a question for Calvin.
Okay. Hold up. We got 1 minute, so we got to close it up.
I talk fast. Go ahead, Tony.
No. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. So I think that as we roll forward, and the Republican Party is more to blame than anybody else, frankly, in leaving the community, and we're going to come back. It's going to take us a while. We left for a while, but we're going to come back.
About 30 seconds. Can you say something?
I just want you to know I ain't left. Okay. I'm a Republican.
too much time.
I've been there. I've been here for a long time. I love it.
Okay.
I love it. This is what I do.
Okay. Again, I appreciate both of you
We
gentlemen.
appreciate you.
I appreciate both of you gentlemen coming on. And next week, we're going to have Chip Flowers. But again, before I close, Senator Marshall, Senate Bill 3, even if you didn't work at the Port of Wilmington, you were affected by if it would have shut down. Almost $22 million would have been taken out of the city's revenue, and it would be little Detroit. You know, and
courtesy of a Democrat governor.
Again, you're right. That who Republicans put him in office too, because a lot of Democrats switched, a lot of Republicans switched over. But again, we were gonna have a show about the impact of the port, about our economy. But next week, I want you to tune in. We're gonna have Chip Flowers talk about the state's budget, some of the things that he's going through. And again, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you,
it was
George.
a great time. And Calvin,
Give out the number, man, again, if you want some more.
Now, I want next time the number. I want it to be across the thing. But good night to everybody. Good night.
Right.
Great show, man.